Your purpose is going to be something that breaks your heart
Yes.
or makes you angry.
Yes.
You get fired
Yes.
about it because you're like, this is something I am.
Hello, everybody. I'm Marsha Upson with Insights by Marsha. And today I have one of my very most special guests, Dr. Taralyn Scott Winful. We have known each other for 20 years. I knew her when she was just Dr. Scott, so you may hear me referring to her as Dr. Scott, not Dr. Scott Winful. But she's a dear, sweet friend, and let me tell you a little bit about the professional side of her. She is a gastroenterologist with over 2 decades of clinical experience. She has been in practice since 2004 and is a graduate of Baylor College of Medicine. She completed her internal medicine residency at Johns Hopkins Hospital. That's really cool. And fellowship in gastroenterology at UT Southwestern right here in Dallas, Texas. She holds board certifications in gastroenterology and obesity medicine and is a long-standing member of numerous professional organizations, including the American Gastroenterological Association and the Obesity Medicine Association. So, yay. And of course, I'm dying to have you here because I have a weight loss background too.
Yes.
Having co-founded Naturally Slim with my mom.
Yes.
And so we have been talking weight loss and the ins and outs of it and the fun part of it and how to make it get successful for people for decades.
For 2 decades.
And now you specialize in that.
Yes.
So tell me what that's like. What's fun? What's the most fun about it?
The most fun is seeing the hope in patients as they begin to reach their weight loss goals with treatment. I got into obesity medicine because there are a number of GI conditions that would benefit from weight loss.
Yeah.
Acid reflux,
Yes.
fatty liver, and there are a number of cancers that are have an association with having obesity: esophageal cancer, gastric cancer, colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, gallbladder cancer. So I got tired of having patients with a weight problem and fatty liver and telling them, okay, you need to lose some weight, but I couldn't tell them how.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? So I did a course of study, a year-long study in obesity medicine, attended conferences, courses, and got board certified in it in 2019, and just began to help as many patients as I can with weight management. I just love being able to see the lights go on as they understand what the problem is, and then helping them to craft a plan to get them to that healthier weight.
Yeah. I have thought about it, but never really in one snippet thought about all the different issues you were seeing in your office just
Yes.
because of weight.
Yes.
Not to mention the diabetes and the high
Yes.
blood pressure and
Exactly.
the high cholesterol
Heart disease.
and heart disease, everything else. I just don't think people in general understand. We do because I'm a nurse practitioner, you're a physician.
Yes.
We see how weight affects our health.
Yes.
But, it kind of helps me understand other people. They don't see what we see.
Yes.
Like, well, yeah, you've got, whatever it is. But yeah, because of the weight.
But part of that too, we discussed this earlier about readiness.
Yes.
So there's this in the obesity medicine field. We do a lot about patient first, interviewing patient first efforts. And so the patient comes in to see me for their acid reflux. I treat that. And if they broach the topic of weight, then we get into it. And I ask permission because weight is a touchy subject.
Yes.
And so there's unfortunately a lot of weight bias in medicine. And so it's important for the practitioner or the provider to ask permission to sense if that patient is ready for the conversation.
Mhm.
And if they are, I dive in head first.
You're ready.
And if they're not, I wait.
Yeah.
I wait for the wait talk. So it's really important to kind of, because a patient comes in and they're having, I don't know, whatever constipation, whatever problem is, and they have a weight problem. I'm not gonna bring that up because
Mm-mm.
I don't know where they are in their readiness.
Mhm.
For those patients who are ready, I have a wait list, unfortunately, that's months long, but they're like,
Wow.
I'm ready to lose weight." And then you can kinda get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
I think it's really important, with this open access as the public has to these, highly effective weight loss medications, the GLP-1 class, is that, there's a lot of access, but those medications really need to be used under the care of someone who's going to monitor the patient
Mhm.
and be able to use that as a comprehensive weight management program
Mhm.
to include the four pillars of weight management: nutrition,
Yeah.
physical activity, and also behavior, which encompasses a lot of different things. And so that's just the foundation of weight management.
Yeah.
Medication is an extra adjunct. Ultimately, what medication does is helps us to feel comfortable not eating.
There you go.
That's all it does.
Yeah.
And so it's basically because you can feel comfortable not eating, but when you do eat junk, that means nutrition is not being addressed. That
Mhm.
means that you might put yourself into a unfavorable nutritional profile because you're eating fast food or junk when you do eat. You can be on medications,
Mhm.
but you don't exercise. And so if you don't exercise, you may have a hard time maintaining your weight loss,
Mhm.
and you also are at risk of developing sarcopenia, low muscle mass,
Yeah.
and that makes you sicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can be on medications, but then you're getting inadequate sleep, you have sleep apnea, you are not dealing with your grief, your anxiety, depression, and that can affect how the medications work as well.
Mhm.
So a comprehensive view is really important. There was a recent position statement put out last couple of weeks with a number of the obesity societies, and they are urging patients and providers to use these medications as a part of a comprehensive evaluation
Love that.
because there's so much sarcopenia and muscle mass loss that's being seen in the population.
Yeah. I love that you talked about the 4 pillars and all because I know lots of people that basically just got the medication and
Mhm,
they're kind of just swinging it on their own. They
mhm,
haven't thought about behavior modification. They
mhm,
haven't thought about the culture.
mhm,
They haven't thought about losing some muscle mass. They
mhm,
don't know about nutrition. So to do it with somebody like you, it's you're going to do it like the other person's going to do it, but your odds of keeping the weight off just escalated like crazy.
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I was having a discussion with some friends that raise all their own food, have their own chickens and
Mhm,
everything, and they didn't quite understand. I'm a protein fanatic.
yes,
Your body does not store protein.
it doesn't store it.
You have to have it at every meal. And
Yes,
when you don't have protein, you're a lot more likely to lose that muscle mass.
exactly.
And I love how you were talking about muscle mass. Well, number one, tell them about how somebody loses, say, 30 pounds and how their muscle mass, they start losing it and the calorie burn. They don't burn as many calories anymore.
Yes, so
Metabolism.
exactly. So exercise is the main way that we have to maintain and increase our metabolism because you're exercising, that burns energy. With doing resistance training, which is really important because a lot of patients think that, oh, I walk. Okay, so you have nice calves and a healthy heart, but you really also need to work all of your muscles as well
Yeah.
because that getting that broad muscle burn, the muscle chews up a lot of our calories that we eat, especially
Yes.
carbohydrates. So it's really important to lift weights. The recommendations is 2 full body workouts twice a week at least. And so by doing that, that's going to preserve muscle mass, hopefully build it, and that's going to be able to offset the decrease in your metabolism that occurs with weight loss. Now, if someone is losing massive amounts of weight, let's just say that they were 100 pounds overweight, which is a lot, and is unfortunately very common, and they lose 100 pounds. Well, of that 100 pounds, probably 20 or 30 pounds may be muscle, and that's not horrible. Think of it this way, because they weigh less, they need less muscle to move that weight around. But what you don't want it to be is half your weight loss. You don't want to lose 30 pounds lose 50 pounds of fat and then the other be a muscle. You want it to all, as much as possible, be fat weight loss.
Yeah.
So it's really important to stress that it's important to exercise. And I think what a lot of patients get overwhelmed by is that they think that they have to go to the gym for 4 hours and work out 4 hours every day. Something
That's
is
not going to
little,
happen.
it's not going to happen. And it's thinking about quality as well as quantity. So if someone can get in a good 30 minutes,
Yeah.
that's better than nothing at all.
Yeah.
And you just do what you can when you can. I have some patients that I advise them to be exercise opportunists. So
I like that.
you figure out any way that you can get an exercise. So it may be if you work on the 8th floor, you walk up the stairs to get to the 8th floor. Or if you are watching your kid at their baseball practice, you don't have to sit in the stands. You can walk around the baseball field. My daughter runs track, and so she has a 90-minute track practice
Wow.
on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. So I take her, and it's at a church that has a large parking space. So I said, "Hey, honey, I'm going to drop you off here, and mommy's going to walk around the church." So I put on a little podcast, and I'm walking around the church
Yeah.
for an hour while she's at track practice.
How
So,
perfect.
so it's being an exercise opportunist. So it's really, and that's how I got that workout that day. So I think having someone to help you figure out how you're going to get it in is helpful, because if we lose a lot of weight with these GLP medications and you don't exercise, you're going to lose muscle mass.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you talked about opportunists, I thought about it. I have some small weights and I have them in different places. Like I'll be like, okay, you're changing clothes for bed. Just spend 2 minutes doing this, just 2 minutes. And just, I think for me at least, it's those short spurts. Like, okay, I've been here for 2 hours. I'm just going to get up and do whatever. In fact, I cheat. I have a treadmill desk.
Yeah.
And I can't, a lot of people can stand all day. I can't just stand, but I can walk.
Yeah, sure.
And if you set it at 2 miles an hour, because if you go faster, you're going to have an accident.
Right.
Because you're answering email.
Yeah, you type.
And whenever I online shop, boy, it's real easy. Real easy. I'll go, wow, an hour's passed and I've only bought 5 items, but the time will fly, but I'll answer my email.
Yes.
While walking.
And you get steps in. That's
So
right.
you just have to find ways. But one thing I did learn when I was teaching Naturally Slim is, for instance, I like to walk 2 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And I'd hear somebody go, oh, well, you really should be having a brisk walk of 3 miles an hour or it's not any good. Well, I'm not going to walk briskly at 3 miles an hour. I will get on that treadmill almost every day and walk for an hour at 2 miles an hour. So that's my definition of walking. Point being, I would tell people, if you're doing an exercise you don't like, you will not keep it up.
Exactly.
So figure out what you like and how you can do little micro thing. Opportunist, I love that. Like walking around the church. That's brilliant. Yeah. It's all about that kind of stuff.
It's figuring out what's going to be easy for you to do, what you are convenient, with what you like. At my office building, there's a little not a walking path, but on the second floor from one pavilion to over to the hospital and going back and forth is like 2,000 steps.
Ooh, a
So
mile.
so if you do that on your lunch break, you've gotten an exercise, right?
Yeah.
I've seen some of there's a physician who works in the office. He will ride up to the eighth floor. No, he will walk up to the eighth floor of the building and then ride the elevator down. That's because going down is worse on your knees. But he'll walk up, ride down, walk up and ride down like 3 or 4 times. And
Wow.
that's
That's
his
a
exercise.
stairmaster.
That's his exercise. Yeah. So finding something that you like, that you will look forward to doing is really important. I personally have exercise ADD. That that means that I can't do the same thing every day or I will
Right.
get bored.
Yes.
So I have a number of things that I do. I do like Camp Gladiator. I have a treadmill. One thing that is coming back into vogue is doing rucking, where you're walking with the weighted vest or weighted backpack.
Yes.
And with that, it's actually kind of hard to walk faster than 2 miles an hour. So that's something that patients can do. But ultimately, you gotta exercise. It's so important. It's medicine.
You've said that to me before. Exercise is
It's
medicine.
medicine.
I
You gotta
like
take
that.
it every day. I had an idea of like having someone to make up little fake pills that said exercise on them and handing them out. And I'll say, if you have this pill and you take it, it'll make you exercise.
I love it. You know, you can get specialized M&Ms, I think.
I think I'm gonna do that.
You could put an E on them or
Yeah, for
something like that.
exercise. Mhm,
I
yeah.
love that. That's good. Whatever it takes. And, you know, I remember one of the concepts I learned is we're an all or nothing society.
Mhm.
So people go, I don't have time, so I won't do it. Well, no, just find the middle ground. Oh, I have 5 minutes right now.
Mhm.
I might not have that. They say, oh, I need 30 minutes, X amount of days a week. Just find whatever middle ground. Or the person that's saying, I know who you are. You're saying, I don't want to walk up 8 flights of stairs. Walk up 2. You know,
2 works.
just do whatever works. I love
There's this podcast on YouTube where the doctor he does a 5-minute workout while his coffee is brewing. And so he puts the coffee on and you can see him doing push-ups, squats, lunges, and he only does it for 5 minutes while his coffee is brewing. And then he has coffee and he says, have a good day. And so I'll take that. Like if you're
Yes.
waiting for
Mhm.
while you're brushing your teeth, you're doing squats, while you're making the kids lunch, do a push-up or something.
Yeah.
Everything counts. Sometimes when I'm in the GI lab doing procedures, in between patients, I'll do a squat. I'll just do a squat hold. Or if I am in clinic, I might decide to run around the office because I've been sitting down all day. So you just have to go into a gym. Not everyone's a gym person. It doesn't have to be, running outside. I can't stand running. If you see me running, something's chasing me. But I love to dance, so I do dancey things.
Oh, you were saying you had a patient that liked to dance.
Yes, and so she couldn't figure out what to do for exercise, but she liked dancing. So I said, if you're dancing and you're dancing for an hour, 3 days a week, that counts as exercise.
Yeah.
Just dance your heart out. And it makes you happy because dancing, it makes you happy.
It does.
I have patients who love their water aerobics. I'm like, do you water aerobics? Or they like rollerblading. Okay, rollerblade. So I have some that like biking. So I think it's really important to do what you like. And also, it should be convenient. I have some patients, once I do an inventory of their exercise environment, they say, oh, yeah, I have a Peloton. Do you use it? No. Or they have like, oh, I have a rowing machine. Do you use it?
Peloton rowing
No.
machine. Is it gathering clothes?
Basically, it's a glorified clothes rack. And I was like, well, don't do anything else but use what you have. And then in other patients who don't have those things, I liked for them to go online to, YouTube or other websites, what have you. Lots of tons of free workouts.
Oh,
So
yes.
it's all free. You don't have to pay for a gym membership. You don't have to like get a personal trainer. You can go online and get these things. But the key thing is figuring out where in your schedule you can be convenient.
Mm.
And if you're too busy, you got to figure out how you're going to not do some things. We were talking earlier about how I think that there's two things that are needed to manage our weight: hope and change.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Hope and change.
Okay.
So hope is the heart.
Okay.
It is the emotional energy and emotional labor that we do to manage our weight. And this could also apply to other things too, but I like it for weight. And so it's the I I can lose weight. I can do this. I'm gonna be successful. Yes. And then there's the a change. The change is the head. The change is what is all of the things that I need to do and plan to do to be able to lose weight. That's the I'm going to eat breakfast, or I'm going to fix a breakfast, and I'm going to not go to the drive-through. I'm going to plan when I'm gonna have my sleep or my therapy or my exercise. It's a list of things. So if you have hope and no change, that's wishful thinking.
Mm,
If you have change and no hope, it's a to-do list that you're gonna burn out and not be able to do.
mm,
So there's some things that eat away at our emotional energy.
mm.
So untreated depression, grief,
Yes.
anxiety,
Mm,
stressors of life like caregiving, work, it can eat away at our
mhm.
emotional energy, and it
Yeah.
makes it hard to just be able to do anything.
Yeah.
And then things that can eat away at our executive energy is, busyness. Lots of work, working 3 jobs. I had a patient who she had a full-time job, she also had her own part-time business,
Mm.
and then she was going to school.
Oh, no way.
So, listening to her, she was barely getting 5 hours of sleep at night, and
Mm,
which is really important, sleep is, and to losing weight. And so I just said point blank, "Well, you're gonna have to do something, not do something, because this
yeah.
is too much. You don't have time to lose weight." And so she was sad about that, but she changed because she had a change in her, and she hired someone to run her side business, so she didn't have to monitor her website and her orders, and that gave her an extra several hours a day so that she could go to bed earlier and exercise.
Wow. And she lost weight.
And she lost weight, 20 pounds.
Wow.
I have some patients who, are scribbling a lot on their phones, and I'm like, "Well, you spend a lot of time scribbling on your phone. I think you have time to exercise." So I want you to I've had patients to delete the apps off their phone. So I listen. So I want you to take a social media break and see how much free time you have to
Yeah.
to, fix dinner and to exercise. So
Yeah.
that's part of a detailed weight management visit. It's just really diving into the behaviors
Mhm.
that lead to the unhealthy eating or not exercising, and that leads to the weight.
So these days, I agree with you totally. These days, we hear the words ultra processed foods. What have you seen in your practice as far as your heavy ultra processed food users and when they start changing their habits a little bit?
So, with these highly palatable, ultra processed foods, they taste good, but they leave you wanting more because they're not filling.
Yeah.
They're not giving your brain those signals of satiety, of the fat and the protein that helps us to feel full. A lot of these carbohydrates, it's fluff. You don't get nourished by them.
Right.
And so I had another patient who retired teacher, real sweet guy. He wanted to lose weight. And so I talked to them. I asked him, I said, "So tell me about your diet. What do you eat?" Well, he's like, "Well, for breakfast, I go to a drive-through and get a McMuffin. And then for lunch, I got these coupons and I go to a different drive-through to get this. And then for dinner, I get this." And so I was like, "Well, do you ever cook?" He was like, "Not really." And I said, "Okay, before you leave here, I want you to delete all the apps off your phone. I want to see it.
Like Arby's,
All of them,
McDonald's,
every
whatever.
single one. And
Wow.
I said, I want you, and then when you leave here, I want you to go to the grocery store. He said, okay. And so it took him about a good 5-10 minutes to go through, delete them
Oh
all off.
my.
I just waited there and I was typing in his chart and documenting. He said, okay, I just got, they're all gone. And I was like, this is fantastic. Yay. And so he came back about 6 weeks later and had lost 20 pounds.
Wow.
And he was
Wow.
exercising, but the fact that he was eating fruits and vegetables and
Yeah.
protein that he could, he had more control of what he was eating, and it was better for him. He was changing his physiology by feeding it really nutritious food. And sometimes that is the first thing that we have to do is like, okay, just eat better.
Yeah.
We'll work on you eating less once you're eating better.
Yes.
And so that's one of the key things as far as the pillars, nutrition, physical activity, behavior. Those are the foundations of weight management.
Mhm.
A lot of times we put a lot of our attention to medical therapy, of which GLP medications are not the only thing that's available. There are several other medications on the market that are still good for weight management. They just don't
Some of the
have
older ones.
some of the older ones and that work, it's not as dramatic weight loss, but they can work, and sometimes insurances will cover them and not
Ah.
the GLP,
Yeah.
or even some of the generic ones,
Mm.
are not even that expensive with, cash pay prices, but we can't just put all of our eggs in the GLP or medical basket. We have to figure out what can be changed in each of these pillars
Mhm.
because the medication is only going to account for a certain part of the weight loss. So if someone is in the four little pillars, ignoring their diet, not exercising, not paying attention to the behavior changes that need, and they only take the medication, it's going to be a certain percentage of their total possible weight loss that medication will do. And
Mhm.
then it's going to be a plateau.
There you go. All those people that say I lost 30 pounds and then stopped.
Exactly. That's because something else needs to be done.
Mhm.
Because most of my patients who are watching their diet, exercising, are changing behavior on medications, they have substantial weight loss. Okay.
Mhm.
So I think that's really important to know because it's better to try to address all of them at the same time instead of just doing medication and then going back and trying to address it. Because if you're not exercising, you're going to lose muscle mass.
Yeah.
And then that's just
It's so not cool.
puts you at a high risk of a lot of other conditions.
Yeah. Muscle mass is so hard to get. You
It's
really don't want to lose it
it's
yet.
hard to get, and it's best to try to maintain it. I had a patient I saw yesterday who, he was, a big guy as far as he was muscular and he had excess body fat, and he needed help to lose the excess because he has heart disease. He
Mm.
wanted to be stronger. And so with Tirzepatide, he's been able to lose a substantial amount of weight. And so I saw him like, wow, you look really trim. And I'm thinking, he said, well, no, Dr. Scott, I want to lose some more weight. And I was like, I'm not really sure you need to. So I got his body composition
Oh, okay.
and he had 5% body fat.
Whoa.
He was really lean. So I
Yeah.
said, don't lose any more weight because
No.
you don't have any weight to lose. I said, stay right there. We're not going to hit on 21. You're good.
Yeah.
You're going to stop right there. And so he did a good job of eating very, very lean,
Yes.
exercising, and the medication, it worked for him.
Yeah.
So there's all kind of stories. I have one patient, it's actually a couple. They both were on medication. So one thing I do encourage is if there's a couple or maybe even friends who both want to go on this journey, it helps to have
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that
That's
person, that
partners.
partners. And so they were really not able to lose more than about 30 pounds of weight. They each had pretty high BMIs. But when I kind of audit their behavior, their diet, exercise, they weren't really doing it. They were putting all of their efforts into taking their injection once a week, but wouldn't change the diet. Would go on vacation, have the margaritas, and wouldn't exercise. So we've been stuck at 30 pounds for several years. And so I said, I really need for you to exercise because
They only
it's
had one pillar working.
one pillow working. So they
It's
all
like one piston.
well, or like a table. A table
Yes.
has 4 legs.
Yeah, you just
And
one more leg's not gonna
and
do
if
it.
one leg is working, the other ones are wobbly, table's gonna fall down.
Yeah.
So it's important to, and that's the benefit of being treated by a provider that has training in obesity medicine and weight management. This is something that requires its own evaluation. I do always say that everybody who's in medicine is treating obesity. It's just that some are doing a better job than others, right?
Yeah.
I mentioned before that if a patient goes to see an orthopedic surgeon because they have osteoarthritis in their knees, and the doctor says, okay, well, this would be better if you lost weight, but doesn't tell them how to do it, you acknowledged they had a problem, but you didn't give them a way to treat it. And so in that instance, I encourage my colleagues to refer to someone who is able to manage that. Primary care are our first line to seeing all patients with all medical problems, especially obesity. But it's so hard to tack that on
You have
to
time.
a routine visit because those are 5, 10, 15 minutes. So again, having either taking the time to do it or finding someone who's going to be able to dive in.
That reminds me of a story my mom used to tell. She said, she would hear "eat less," and she'd be like, "That's like cutting your arm," and it's like, "Bleed less." How do you
Exactly.
eat
Yeah, how do
less?
you do
Yeah, and so when you talk about the behavioral leg, that's what I love because that's what Naturally Slim was mostly about, was behavioral. So my advice was, "Hey, guess how long it takes to know you're full? 20 minutes. Maybe you need to eat slower. And hey, maybe you need to put your fork down between bites, because if
Exactly.
you've got your fork in your hand, you feel like you need to be doing this
Exactly.
and tasting and savoring food. One thing I think is so funny is all overeaters are like, I love food. I mean, we're taking pictures of our food, we're posting pictures. It's like, I've got the best recipe for X, Y, and Z. We all say we love food, but then we inhale it. And
Yes.
probably after bite 3, nobody's even tasting their food anymore.
Exactly.
So there's another one of the pillars, and it's just all these medications are so wonderful, but too many people are using them standalone. I want to go, no, get your exercise. All the things that you're teaching your patients, which no wonder you have a long waiting list. I love that.
So I think with the medications, that I advise patients that it helps you feel comfortable not eating. There's this term called food noise, well, where people are thinking about food. They could be eating food and talking about food that they're going to eat or half eating. So we're in a very food conscious society. There's like the Instagram and reels and the Facebook and the things about cooking and so forth, the Food Network. So food is everywhere. And I try to tell patients that food is not a therapist. It's not comfort. It really isn't. It's nutrition. And it's to be enjoyed for the purposes of nourishing your body. When it becomes something that we do to distract us from our feelings, to distract us from getting things done or dealing with stressors, then that's when it ends up becoming a crutch. Especially when it comes to like sugary foods, because that increases our serotonin and makes you feel
Yes.
good for a period of time, and then you crash down and you have to eat it again to feel good again. So I think having that awareness is that, wait a minute, am I really hungry or I just want to eat? And if I'm feeling some kind of way, maybe I should see my therapist or maybe I should journal on this one. So I think creating awareness is really important of why we're actually putting food into our mouths. The medication helps because it helps you not think about food all the time.
Yes.
And that's a good thing.
Yes. And it kind of all goes back to what you were saying. We have to realize what a difference it makes in our health because somebody may look perfectly healthy, but on the inside they're not. And that, I mean, people almost are like, I don't want to work at it. No, this weight is something you have to work on.
Yeah, intention.
The rest of your life.
Exactly.
It is a condition that has to be treated. And I feel like another reason it has to be treated is because every decade it gets harder to lose weight.
It does.
Yeah.
Because our metabolism slows down, we are losing muscle mass. And then there is just the overall aging process. So that in order to live well, we have to start in our 20s and 30s, probably the latest, of creating habits that we carry into our middle age, especially women who are getting into menopause. And menopause is real. It will cause these physiologic changes that, in the absence of having some safeguards in place, you may find yourself gaining weight and having a really hard time to lose it. And it's so hard to age with extra weight on because carrying that weight is hard on your bones. Adipose tissue is pro-inflammatory, so all of the inflammation that it has. And so this idea that you don't have to work at it, it's not easy. There's this saying in the obesity medicine field that if you don't want a weight problem, like you never can gain weight because once you gain weight, your body knows what it's like to have that weight and it wants you back there. So it's a constant management. I believe that everybody can lose weight, but it is the maintaining the weight loss that is the struggle. And that's not just medication. It's also lifestyle. It's also recognizing that no, I'm not going to be able to go to happy hour and have all the chips and 3 drinks. It's like, well, that's not part of my plan anymore. Or that, oh, actually, I have to get up and exercise so that I can use these legs and these muscles when I'm 80, even though I'm 40 now.
Right. And, it's kind of a fun little game I do with myself. When I'm around a lot of elderly people, there are not many obese elderly people.
It's hard to be 85, 90 and have extra weight. It's extremely hard. It's really hard. So, I use my parents as, they're in their 80s and, my father, he exercises every day.
Awesome.
He actually just started jogging at 85.
Oh my
He only goes a
gosh.
block,
That's
but
okay.
he lifts weights.
Yes.
And he says, "Well, I have to do this every day so I won't lose my ability to do it."
Yeah.
And so he mows the lawn for his house, his neighbor's house, and he owns some apartments that he mows it there as well. He says that I have to keep moving so that I won't lose it. And my mom does as well. And so it's really important. If anything, from this discussion, anyone takes away is that move however you're able to. And that could be dancing. It could be doing a boot camp. It could be walking with some weights and what have you, but do something.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. And one thing I like to think about, because I'm a little older than you, is y'all might not know this, but there used to not be a chip aisle. There wasn't a chip aisle at the grocery store. There used to be like potato chips and Fritos, and you actually could get potato chips delivered to your house in a can. Charles potato chips, like the milkman.
Oh my.
So, and my mom talks about when she was younger, you ate a meal and there were no snacks. You didn't have prepackaged snacks. So we started off as a culture that just kind of ate a meal, walked to work, or went and worked out on the farm. And every year we've taken every decade, less steps. There's more foods out there. The culture makes it harder. We now, like we used to say, don't read the recipe books, because women back then would say, I'll pick up a recipe book and I have a bookmark in it. I literally read it, and it would be like an alcoholic reading a bar guide. After look at that Tom Collins. That sounds good. I think I want it. If you read the recipe, you're like, I think I'll go cook. And now there's food channels.
Yes.
And there's taking pictures of all your food. My point being kind of the same thing you were just saying. Our culture's not making it any easier.
It's not.
It's just getting harder every decade.
Yes.
So it's time for people to just engage. What I like about the GLP-1s and the other weight loss medications you were talking about is I used to tell people it's very easy to maintain your weight. Maintaining is not that hard. Losing your weight, you got to gear up. And you got to do everything the way you're supposed to. But maintaining is just a little bit easier than the activity of losing. So the GLP-1s are allowing people to lose 30, 40, 50 pounds. And then I'm just, praying that they will adopt the other pillars, because once that weight loss medication's either there, or we'll talk about microdosing in a minute, they need those other pillars to keep them there. But the drugs are such an amazing thing for giving everybody a jump start on getting back to a healthy weight.
I think because the patient sees regain control of the food noise, and they gain control of not obsessing over the next snack, or being tempted by whatever's in the break room. That it's a little boost of hope.
Yes.
And having that control. But it can be deceiving because, yes, it helps you with that. It helps you not mind not eating. You still have to exercise. I had a patient recently, the same one who was on medication and had lost more than 30 pounds. And so we were talking about, I was like, hey, listen, I really need you to exercise because that's going to be really important. And so her response to me was that, well, when is the next medication going to be available on the market? I was like, well, it's probably not going to be available until next year. But even if you take that one, it's not going to make you exercise. That's what I told her.
I love it.
And so she was like, well, I was like, I know, I'll be happy to give it to you, but it's not going to make you walk outside or lift some weight. So what are we going to do about that? I wish I had a medication that would help patients to exercise, because I'd be real rich right now.
Yes.
So that's the thing, is that it's a tool, and it's only going to work so well.
Yeah.
So have I had patients to lose over 100 pounds on semaglutide or Glutide? Yes. However, I've had some who didn't lose any at all.
Wow.
Because that wasn't the mechanism of action for their weight.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're learning about weight management and training, there's pathways in our hypothalamus that are setting our weight desires, and so these different medications plug in to different parts of our brain and also in our gut for the GLP-1s, and that gives us the ability to get full easily, not mind eating. And part of it too is with the GLPs in particular, it helps with decreasing the rewards of eating. So patients will say, oh, I'm gonna have this cookie. Then it's like, I didn't get high off this cookie. I don't think I want it anymore. And then you don't eat it because you're not getting that high.
Right.
It kind of rewires you.
Yeah.
And so that is a change that if the medication is taken away, it probably eventually will return. And so I'll segue, if you want to, in like the microdosing.
Yes.
So once patients lose weight on the GLP medications, but this also can be extrapolated to Ventermin, which is an older medication, and even topiramate. Once you've lost the weight, I've had a few patients where I had to either decrease the dosage of the GLP medication because they kept losing, or we increased the dosing interval. So instead of taking it every a week, they may take it every 8 days, every 10 days, every 14 days. I have
Yes.
one patient who literally takes it once a month
Wow.
because for her, that's how long it takes for her to start feeling hungry and wanting to eat.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. And so, and then I have a patient coming up that I'm thinking of microdosing her. But the lowest dose of Tirzepatide is 2.5 milligrams. When she tried that, she had a lot of side effects. She lost weight, but she felt bad. And I was like, I'm thinking for her, we might try to do 1.25 to see if that might be good enough for her. So there's the more we use them, the more kind of anecdotal info we get. But for maintenance, it's gonna need to be something for maintenance. So, and so I have some patients who come to me that just want to take medications until they can fit into their, bridesmaid dress for the wedding, and then they'll stop. And I was like, this is a lifestyle change,
Yes.
and there's no quick fixes. So we can start working on getting you healthier, and maybe you'll fit into the dress by the wedding, but you might not, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
So, understanding that it's a lifelong journey, and that we need to continue working on this every day, every week. I tell patients that weight loss is a job, and you wake up every morning saying, today I'm going to lose weight or maintain my weight. And there's something that you do to do that. So it may be that you choose to not have the donut that's in the break room.
Right.
You choose to walk up the stairs to your office. You choose to exercise after you leave to work, but there's something that you're going to do. So if you have full-time weight loss work, you get full-time weight loss. If you have part-time management of your weight, you're going to have part-time weight loss. And if it's PRN,
as needed,
you're going to have PRN weight loss. So what are you trying to do? Full-time, part-time, or PRN?
So I think I know the answer to this question, but if you could just give one piece of advice or whatever to everybody out there that's either on a GLP-1 or thinking about it, what would it be?
The first thing is to get understanding. See a practitioner that is going to spend time with you and understand why you're having a weight problem, because not all weight is equal. Okay. The reason why person A has the problem with the weight is going to be different from person B. That's the first thing. Two, when it comes to your weight management program, it should consist of a specific way that you're going to manage your nutrition, a specific way you're going to enhance your physical activity, and addressing any behavior things that are contributing to it, in addition to medication if you're a candidate for that.
Yeah. Love it. That's the formula for success.
It is.
It is. Okay. So I have a question I didn't tell you about. The podcast Insights with Marsha,
Yes.
we're looking at people like you who have found their purpose and found their destiny.
Yes.
What God wants them to be doing. What
Yes.
what feels right to them. And I'll acknowledge too, that can change during life. I had a purpose at one time of just getting the kids raised. And then I went back to school and all. But you've definitely found your purpose and your destiny for what you should be doing at this point in life. Can you give any kind of tidbits, help to people that are trying to find what it is that they need to be doing?
So, my purpose in life, and I believe this, that God gave this to me, is healing and hospitality. So and what my pastor, my church mentioned is that your purpose is going to be something that breaks your heart or
Yes.
makes you angry.
Yes.
You get fired up
Yes.
about it because you're like, this is something. I am fired up about helping patients to lose weight.
Yes.
It breaks my heart when someone is suffering because of a GI illness. So that's how I know this is something that I'm meant to do. So if someone, and I love throwing a party too, but I really do. I throw awesome
We're
parties.
gonna have to do a party.
Yes. So if there's something in your life that just like you burn for it, it just makes you so fired up and angry, that could be your purpose. some kind of way. There's something that when you feel about it and you just like your heart breaks for it. You're like, this is something it's not fair. It's a travesty. It's something that you want to explore because that could be your purpose knocking on your door saying, hey, come here. And so I think those are the two, that was the best advice that I got from my my church pastor.
I think that's fabulous. Couldn't have said it any better. Neat. Well, since you have found your purpose, your destiny, will your destiny please be to come back and talk with us again?
Anytime for you, Marsha.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope y'all enjoyed this. I know I did. It's always fun. I mean, we both get our excitement out of talking about weight loss.
Yes.
That's okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So come back next week and come back next time that I have Dr. Scott here, and you'll learn even more fabulous things at Insights with Marsha.